The ceasefire in Gaza could completely collapse within a matter of days. If you're not caught up, Trump has announced that the United States is going to take over Gaza and turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East. Trump has further clarified that the Palestinians will be permanently expelled from the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu supports this idea, starts laying the groundwork. Meanwhile, Hamas delays the planned hostage release for this coming Saturday, citing several Israeli ceasefire violations, and further urging negotiators to resolve the issues. Hamas claims that Israel violated the ceasefire by blocking humanitarian aid, attacking civilians, and preventing displaced Palestinians from returning to the north of Gaza. Israel, of course, denies this and instead condemns Hamas for parading the hostages around during the original hostage releases. Now, because Israel does not allow any independent monitoring from inside the Gaza Strip, it's quite difficult to verify either side's claims. However, Reuters reports that Israel has refused to allow temporary housing for displaced Palestinians to come into the Strip, despite this being an actual requirement of the original ceasefire terms. Also, Hamas claims that Israel broke the ceasefire are consistent with what we've seen Israel do in Lebanon after the ceasefire there, which is why the Lebanese joke that the Israeli interpretation of ceasefire is, you cease, we fire. Anyway, Trump responds by saying that if Hamas does not release all of the hostages by noon on Saturday, he is going to rain hellfire on Gaza. Soon after that, an unnamed Israeli official claims that Hamas actually broke the ceasefire, without citing any evidence or specifics, and insists that there will be no further progress until all of the hostages are free, which was not the initial terms of this ceasefire. Netanyahu doubles down on this, saying that if Hamas does not release all of the hostages by noon this Saturday, the Israeli military will escalate its attack against Gaza until Hamas is defeated. At this point, the original ceasefire agreement is collapsing after less than a month. Israel's demands have now shifted, and it's very unlikely that Hamas is going to give in to Israeli demands and release all of the hostages by noon on Saturday. That likely means no phase 2 of the ceasefire and no further hostage releases. So, what happens next? Trump has warned of all hell breaking loose, and Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich describes that as meaning total war. No electricity, no water, no fuel, no aid, full military control, and the forced expulsion of the remaining Gazans from the Strip. In other words, doubling down on genocide and ethnic cleansing. If the Israelis even attempt to carry this out, this would massively buttress the genocide case against Israel currently making its way to the International Court of Justice, and might also implicate the United States as well, depending on the actual level of Trump's involvement. One thing is clear. Trump's ceasefire is already beginning to unravel, and the mass suffering of Gazans who have been undergoing genocide, ethnic cleansing, dehumanization of all forms for the last 15 months, and before that for the last 75 years, is about to intensify. It's up to you to make sure that the world does not stay quiet about Palestine, even if the news wants to forget all about it. The ceasefire is not the end of the conversation about Palestine. It's just the beginning. If the Palestinians can bravely resist their own genocide for 16 months, then you can stand up for them. You can refuse to give in to social pressure to stop talking about them. You can refuse to choose other people's comfort over doing the right thing. The courage that the Palestinians demand from you right now is barely an ounce of what the world has demanded from the Palestinians. The forces of oppression and tyranny thrive on your silence. So now is not the time to be quiet.